Star Trek Strange New World Season 3 Episode 7 is a deep dive into Starfleet's purpose. Star Trek Strange New Worlds has always excelled at placing philosophical questions at the center of its Adventure of the Week format, but Season 3 Episode 7 elevates that approach to one of the show's most thoughtful hours. It's an episode that doesn't simply explore a cosmic mystery or highlight a character's emotional struggle, it interrogates the very reason Starfleet exists. Through a tense crisis, a surprising moral dilemma, and one of the most compelling debates the series has staged so far, Episode 7 forces both the crew and the audience to ask, what is Starfleet for, really? This question has been woven into the DNA of Star Trek since the original series. Peacekeeping, exploration, diplomacy, and defense have always been in tension. But Strange New Worlds takes the tension and places it under a magnifying glass. The result is a beautifully constructed story about identity, of individuals, of institutions, and of civilizations. A routine mission that isn't routine at all. Episode 7 begins with the Enterprise dispatched to investigate a faint distress signal coming from the edges of a previously uncharted sector. What seems like another classic Starfleet rescue mission quickly becomes something more complicated. The signal originates from a research outpost belonging to the Kaleri, a xenophobic but technologically advanced species that has repeatedly rejected Federation contact. Their culture prizes isolation and strict separation from external influence, yet someone among them has sent out a call for help. Pike, true to his ethos, treats the signal as a humanitarian imperative. If someone needs assistance, the Enterprise will answer. But his senior staff, particularly Lon and Admiral April, appearing via subspace, remind him that the Kaleri have threatened military retaliation if the Federation ever crosses their borders again. This sets the central conflict in motion. Should Starfleet respect the sovereignty of a closed world, or does its mandate to preserve life supersede political boundaries? From the moment the Enterprise crosses into Kaleri territory, the episode builds an atmosphere of uneasy suspense. The Kaleri aren't villains, they're afraid. Their culture's survival depends on solitude, and the outside universe represents contamination, chaos, and danger. But the distress signal changes everything. Someone inside that world has broken their own taboo, and Starfleet must decide how to respond. The stranded scientist and the ethical paradox. The crew finds a lone Kaleri scientist named Neres, whose research facility suffered a catastrophic gravitational collapse caused by an experimental energy core. She is the only survivor. The core is still active, destabilizing the surrounding region and threatening to trigger a chain reaction that could destroy the Kaleri home system. Neres is brilliant, guarded, and deeply conflicted. She broke her people's most sacred law by sending the distress call. And yet, she insists that her own rescue is secondary. She wants the Enterprise to help her stabilize the core using a theoretical model that she has spent decades developing in isolation. The paradox emerges quickly. Helping Neres means violating Kaleri sovereignty and interfering in their internal technological development. Leaving her and the unstable core alone would cause a catastrophe that could wipe out billions of lives. The classic Star Trek tensions, prime directive, moral duty, self-determination, collide in a way that feels fresh rather than formulaic. Neres represents a cultural shift within her people, a curiosity they fear, but that she sees as essential to survival. Her presence gives the dilemma a human, or rather Kaleri, face, grounding the philosophical debate in emotional stakes. Pike and Spock's debate. What is Starfleet's mission? Though the episode is packed with action and tension, its heart lies in the conversations between Captain Pike and Spock. Their philosophical debate is a highlight of the season. Spock argues for restraint, preserving Kaleri autonomy, and respecting their stated desire for isolation. He sees Starfleet's purpose as one of principles, following the letter of its agreements, even when difficult. Pike, however, sees Starfleet's purpose as inherently compassionate. If they can save lives, they must. Their dialogue recalls classic Kirk-Spock moral sparring, but with the more mature sensibilities of Strange New Worlds. Pike is driven by empathy and a sense of moral responsibility, while Spock emphasizes logic, precedent, and the dangers of cultural contamination. Their disagreement is not antagonistic, it's respectful, thoughtful, and deeply rooted in both characters' histories. It's the kind of conversation that feels true to the core of Star Trek, where ideas clash as powerfully as starships. Uhura's breakthrough. Communication as Starfleet's superpower. While Pike and Spock debate, Uhura independently uncovers a new layer of the mystery. The Kaleri distress signal includes embedded data, hidden mathematical patterns used in their internal science communication. Nerys wasn't just calling for help. She was sending a message to her own people through Starfleet, hoping the Federation could carry information she wasn't allowed to. This discovery reframes the crisis. Nerys is not rebelling against her culture. She's trying to save it from within. Her research challenges the Kaleri's rigid isolationism, and she believes and fears that her people won't understand until it's too late. Uhura's insight underscores something Episode 7 articulates beautifully. Starfleet's greatest strength isn't its technology, it's its ability to listen, to translate, and to build bridges between worlds. The episode gives Uhura one of her strongest moments this season, positioning language and communication as heroic acts. The Kaleri's arrival and the ultimate test of Starfleet's values. Just as the Enterprise begins assisting Nerys with the unstable core, a Kaleri fleet enters the region. They accuse Starfleet of violating their borders and demand immediate withdrawal. Their commander insists that Nerys has committed treason and that her research must be destroyed. This confrontation pushes the episode to its thematic peak. The Kaleri are not irrational, they see Starfleet as a threat to their cultural integrity, and in many ways, they are right. Contact with the Federation often disrupts the development of other civilizations, intentionally or not. The Kaleri's fear is justified, even if their methods are extreme. Pike must decide whether to stand down or risk open conflict to save Nerys and prevent a stellar-scale disaster. This is where the episode's central question sharpens. Is Starfleet's purpose to enforce rules, or to protect life even when those rules fail? Pike chooses compassion. But instead of fighting, he uses communication, backed by Uhura's discovery, to convince the Kaleri commander that Nerys' research will save their people, not corrupt them. Spock helps translate Nerys' theoretical model into terms her government can understand, and the Enterprise assists the Kaleri scientists in stabilizing the core. It's one of those classic Trek solutions, diplomacy through shared discovery. A new path for the Kaleri, and for Starfleet. The episode ends not with victory, but with possibility. The Kaleri government agrees to a limited scientific exchange with the Federation, the first step toward opening their world. Nerys is granted amnesty, though her relationship with her people will remain complicated. She tells Pike that progress is always painful, but she now sees that dialogue is worth the risk. For Starfleet, the mission is a reaffirmation. Exploration, diplomacy, and defense are not separate mandates, they are intertwined. The Enterprise didn't just rescue a scientist or avert a catastrophe. It helped a civilization begin to evolve on its own terms. Episode 7 makes the case that Starfleet is not an empire, a military, or even a scientific expedition. It is a philosophy that understanding and connection are the most powerful forces in the galaxy. Why Episode 7 stands among the best of the series. Season 3 Episode 7 is Strange New Worlds at its finest. It blends high-stakes sci-fi tension